Happy Wednesday. We made it through half the week and the world hasn't fallen apart. Past the election cycle. Thank the universe. I'm so tired of that. Everybody saying it's their fault and their fault and they're to blame. I don't care. We're in this together and we're all going to, there's only one way we're going to get out out of this whole thing, and that's by being kind to each other. So be kind to each other. With that, there's a little hint of something I'm going to talk about later on in this broadcast. So please stick with me about being kind. All right. First things first. Let me break this open to you. Let me show you this. If y'all haven't seen this meme going around, well, I can't say that you haven't. You probably haven't paid attention to it because it was probably some, realtor or loan guy saying, "Hey, this is great. This is good information." Well, when you search it, if you took this number right at Pink, 7% at 30,000 under list price is better than 100,000 over list price at 3%. And when you do a search, you're going to see, holy cow, it's like everybody, you keep going. I mean, this goes on for days. And it meant everybody was throwing out this meme and these numbers without doing the math. Now, I know my math teachers are probably going to yell at me because I'm probably doing something not right. But the point is, the math wasn't right. And let me show you. Well, it was right up to a certain point, but it wasn't right for California numbers. So the numbers are totally off. And if you take this as a word problem and you break it down, you figure out what the values are over time, you're going to see that the numbers just really aren't correct. So let me show you where it is correct, and I'll walk you through my numbers so you can see, right? If you took this $250,000 thing, let me explode this out a little bit. 150. All right. Now, this is just the loan amount. It's not the down payment, because you can have 3% down payment, you can have 25%, you can have 50%. It doesn't matter what the purchase price is. And we're not talking about taxes and insurance. We're just talking about mortgage, principal and interest. Okay. So if it was whatever the numbers, if in the old days, back in April, and you were spending $100,000 over list price, at $250,000, that's a hell of a lot of money, right? Totally understand it. And today, if you went down $30,000, so this was the original. This is today, $30,000 less than the old purchase price versus $100,000 over list price. And these are the interest rates. Simple, right? And if they were 30-year loans, granted 30 years, because you can go to this number with 20, 10, 15, 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. The numbers worked out to where it's true. It's true. But not very many people are going to buy a house worth $250,000 or even $350,000 in California. Now, granted, there might be some in Stockton and in Fresno or where have you, but this is about Silicon Valley living, and maybe even mobiles aren't even that cheap these days. So anyway, regardless, if you had a 7% loan, and these numbers right here are fully amortized over 30 years. These numbers right here are interest only. See, amortized interest only. And that's important because the numbers work out kind of differently. Now, if you take this $250,000 model, you're at $1,464 principal and interest. If you're at $250,000, it's really a $350,000 loan. At 3%, you're at $1,474. It's not better, but it's still, right? I mean, it is what it is. Okay. And I did the same numbers here, $1,490 254. This is where it actually, the numbers flip, where it's not true anymore. So 7% is now less. So it's actually right here, where it's 3% is $14.91, $1 more per month. Again, these are interest-only numbers, so you can take that with a grain of salt, and you can do the same numbers interest-only and know that it goes probably up to like 350 or whatever that number is, right? So when you look at $500,000, it's $600 more a month. So it's not true. Excuse me. Squeeze me. Okay, $1 million. It's a lot more. $2 million. It's a whole lot more. $5 million. It's holy crap more. $12,000 more. So that meme, if you see this, I'm not saying that they're wrong. Just saying that they're leaving out a variable for you to do their math correctly and understand what that meme is. So for all y'all that are doing this, I'm not blaming any agents or realtors or what have you. They just kind of carried the ball. I'm like, yeah, this is great. The momentum's going. This is awesome. Do the math, right? Do the math. All right. Enough of that. One more thing to talk about. Best and worst states to live in. Now, this is a grain of salt. You could take this and say, you're so full of shit, Vito, because I don't believe this. It's not correct one way or another, whatever. It's not my source. I'm just reporting on it. I'm having some fun with it, right? Because I got it from topagency.com, right? So I got this information. This is not my information. I claim nothing. But Wyoming is a great place to live. Raise your kids, has good health care, has good education, quality of life. Not so much on the opportunities because there's not a lot of tech up there. But if you're smart and you own a tech business, just saying, not saying what you should do or what have you. And the cool thing about this is you can go, A to B. Like New Hampshire is the safest state as far as crime and safety is concerned. As far as the economy is concerned, Wyoming. As far as education, it's Massachusetts. Healthcare, Vermont. It's good to know. I have to look into that. Delaware is for infrastructure. Well, Delaware's like a pimple. It's like a town. Quality of life is Hawaii. Yeah, Kinga, if you're watching, for sure. Wyoming, opportunities wise. Affordability, it's Wyoming. All right, let's see who comes in the top 3. Wyoming, Vermont, and South Dakota. Not Idaho, not Nevada, not New Mexico, Arizona, Texas. I don't see any of those up here. People that are moving from California are moving to those states that I just mentioned. Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, somewhere in the Dakotas, Arizona for sure. There's a huge population explosion, especially in this Phoenix area, Scottsdale, you name it. New Mexico a little bit, a lot in Texas. But there's some areas over here, like Florida's number 9. Right? It kind of rounds out, right? Washington, there you go. There's one right there. Washington's a beautiful state. Seattle's always fun. My aunt and uncle live in Camas. That's South Washington. It's right over the Portland border, right along the Dalles and that river. You know that river? We go there every couple of years. It's really beautiful up there. But Vito, where's California? You say. I really want to know where California sits on this ranking structure. Are you ready? 3rd. Louisiana and Mississippi beat it, mostly because of crime, affordability, and safety. But guys, we got to do better. I don't care who you voted for. It's the policies, right? I hate to make California the punching bag, but there's a lot of people moving out of California for a lot of reasons. If you're interested in moving out of California, let me know. I have a whole relocation package. I have agents all across this amazing country and continent in Canada as well, if you want to move out. I have some people that I would trust with my life. So there you go. Wanted to bring that up before we get into the numbers. Now it is time for if that's too loud, let me know. I just had some fun with that. Rates are down to where they were a month ago. 6.9, 6.889. This is 6.5. So October 5th, they were lower than before. So that's when I first started tracking it. These numbers right here, you can take a look at this chart. Let me see if I can explode it for you. So yeah, we were down here for a long time and we got spoiled with that. And now everybody's freaking out because they saw 7%, which was good because it shocked the nation. It shocked home buyers. It shocked sellers into kind of like smacking them around a little bit, saying, hey, you got to come to reality because 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, that's not realistic, right? Because we saw what happened. We saw what happened by, let me bring this over to you, by seeing this big bloop right here. That was unnatural pricing. People went crazy. Nobody benefited. Well, sellers benefited from it, but a seller typically goes and buys another house at an increased or inflated value too. So nobody really won, except for the fact that we kept the economy going during this shutdown. All right. Gas prices are coming down. They're a little bit higher than last week, but overall they're coming down. I'm not going to say that they're down where they should be. They should be at like 3.5% or $3.5, $3, $3.50, $3.65 at the most, right? But they're coming down. And I get that. The cost of living is going up everywhere. This is California. If you're in other places, let's go try. Where was that one place I said that was like the best place to live in? Wyoming. Let's go check out Wyoming real quick. Spelled it right. Look at that. 294, 299. Let's see what the lowest is and the average is. Oh, they don't have it. They didn't post it. But I can assume it's under $3. All right. Okay. Enough of that. So seeking a lot of other things that are coming on in the news, and this is going into the whole economy. Everybody's talking about recession. This is just little crumbs, little nuggets to prove that we are going into a recession, or we're already there technically, even though some people won't admit it. Travel and leisure stocks are hurting because there are people traveling. There's tons of people traveling. You see all those Karens and crazy people on the planes when they shouldn't be. There's still a lot of stuff, but I think what we're going to see is Airbnb. We're going to see VRBO. We're going to see hotels, and we're going to hurt. And Airbnb is kind of like Uber. If you own a house and you Airbnb it means you're a host, you're going to get hurt because less people are going to be able to afford to travel. It means that property is going to be sitting there vacant. And if you can't afford to make the payment on it, you're going to have to let it go or sell it or convert it into a long-term rental. And hopefully you can pay for that, right? Layoffs are coming and some people might just panic sell, right? Talk about Open Door. You see that stuff happening all the time. Open Door is just, they're doing stuff that I don't think should be allowed. They're market makers now because they own billions and billions of dollars, and they're lowering the cost of home values because they're oversupplying the market lowering the prices, they're taking a huge loss. So what they're doing is they're trying to match the market, but they're market makers, so they should really hold out. There's a whole lot of stuff that we're going to go into that in a separate video, so make sure you keep an eye on it or subscribe to Silicon Valley Living uh, at wherever that is. Where is it? On YouTube. All right. All right. So, I don't watch the news, but I'm seeing this. This has been like brewing for the last couple of weeks. My understanding is this guy's all the way down in Argentina already, where they don't have an extradition treaty. So he's screwing over tons of people with billions of dollars, and shame on him. I don't know if I'm supposed to judge him, but he knew what he was doing. He took off and ran, and there you go. iBuyers. You're hearing this left and right. iBuyers is open door. Redfin was buying homes for a bit. A bunch of companies were doing it. Zillow did it. They popped out. They sold all their properties to a hedge fund, which screwed over tons of home buyers, right? iBuyers are no good for home buyers. They're great for sellers if they can get the right deal. But a lot of times what they do is they come in and say, we'll give you market rate. And then they go, oh, well, we saw this, we saw this, we saw this. And on top of that, instead of paying commission, we're going to charge you, I don't know what fees they're called, convenience fee, whatever. So I think they're on their way out. Layoffs. And I know everybody's seeing this. This is stuff that I collect through the week. Okay, so don't yell at me for being 7 days late, 5 days late. This is going to happen over and over again. What they're not telling you, though, is Amazon hired 500,000 people. So they're reducing their ranks by a very, very small fraction, right? I'm sure those 10,000 employees were overpaid and not doing their jobs, or they didn't make their probationary period, or maybe they're closing down an department of some sort. Oh, I don't think I did my little news intro thing. Big cities saw historic population losses while suburban growth declined during the pandemic. It's true. Everybody got out of big cities, because why would you pay $4,500 for a 500 square foot apartment when you can take that same money, save money, rent a house down here for $3,500 or $4,000? So yeah, I mean, that's obvious stuff. And you don't have to go to work. You don't have to go to your office, which is conveniently located, a few blocks away from you in the city, whatever city you're from, right? Dallas, New York, doesn't matter. You're going to move out to suburbia and either buy or rent and enjoy larger living, because you don't want to be cramped up in those little tiny apartments. So yeah, kind of makes sense. Domestic migration, look at that. So I didn't realize that San Francisco was so harshly hit. And my thoughts are initially, before going into this, probably be the lower paid spectrum of the population, because if you have money, it's not going to affect you, right? You hire security, you have police department roaming around, you keeping the homeless population away from you. It's the people that are tired of seeing that stuff downtown, having to step in other people's feces, and that stuff is rampant everywhere. So, all right, another thing. Okay, so this I got from my investment mentor. I haven't seen it. I haven't actually seen the numbers, but KPMG is touting a 15% crash. And that could happen in 2023. However, if you look about it, and not in any one year, over the Great Recession or whatever, 2008, it was 8.9 was the max, 1 year saw. And it was like a 4, 5, 6 year recession, right? And overall, we saw a 30% drop in values on average, because it didn't happen here. It happened in St. Louis and in Texas and in Cape Coral. I saw something somewhere the other day. I don't know what I did with it. I was going to put it on. I don't have it. I apologize. Where it showed the numbers of homes that were reduced by city. And Cape Coral was like, went down like 33%, which is crazy, 37%. San Jose went down a little bit. I want to say it was like 7, 8, 9% total year over year. But when you look at the entire recession, it's 30%. So for KPMG to say it's going to be a 15% crash, I'm not an expert in what their thoughts are. I didn't dig into the report. But at the end of the day, what they're saying is that is the report really going to, I mean, is the economy going to crash? The housing market going to crash? Are we going to see massive layoffs? Problem is one, we have a ton of equity in almost every house, right? People are buying homes and they have equity. They don't have access to those toxic loans anymore, the pick-a-pays, the 0% down, all that kind of stuff, right? Where I can see it be a tipping point is the Airbnb people. Those are the people that rent out and host, maybe they have 30, 40, 50 properties, condos, apartments, houses, and then that market shrivels up and then they have to put it on the market. That, along with the iBuyers having to get rid of their assets, that could affect it, but not the same numbers or sheer volume of what went on in 2008. And if you look at the numbers again down here, the numbers are nowhere near for REOs, bank-owned properties, right? We don't see a shadow inventory of that. We're not seeing reports of shadow inventory of hundreds of thousands of homes being repossessed by the banks. We're not seeing that. That's why I have these numbers here. So if it drops 15% in 1 year, I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it'll happen in certain metropolitan areas. Very possible. But, we'll see. We'll have this conversation next November, December. So one little great thing, and I should have put this up front, but I didn't, is a friend of mine. Let me open this up real quick. A friend of mine, and now client, moving her down to Morgan Hill. She's very involved in her community, and she, along with a couple other people, put on this program called Morgan Hill Stands Against Hate. Right? I think this is fantastic. I think it's great that they're taking a stand. I think it's great that they're opening up themselves to peaceful, loving, and growing a community of love and care. And I think that's great. So congratulations. Thank you for all your hard work for making our communities better. All right, enough of that. Okay, numbers. All in all, we're kind of like the same on 40 days. It's about the same. You're seeing numbers kind of go down, but not go down a whole lot. This should have been red last week. What we did see, though, and this is going to be telling. Let me see if I can back this out so you can see it as a bigger picture. Look at all these reds. All these reds in this column right here. That means inventory contracted from the last week. It went down. Now, it went down 2 here, went down a few here, right? Not a lot, but overall, we're seeing a lot out of that entire stack of towns and cities that I'm looking at. All but 3 went down in inventory. That's great. I don't know if they're sales. I don't know if they're cancellations. I don't know if they're expireds, but all those numbers on the whole, you got to assume that the market's getting a little healthier, especially when, a month ago we were at 6.5%, right? 6.5% right here, right? Takes about 30 days to close. We're reporting on right here. So yeah, I don't think it affected anything. I think what we're going to see in the next couple of weeks, especially since We saw 7s for 3 weeks. I think we're going to see dismal numbers as far as sales are concerned, but we'll see that when that happens. You can see the pendings kind of went down a little bit, but not a whole lot, right? We went from 75, 80, 90, 90, 77. There was 163 to 50s and 40s. So pendings are going down. That means houses go into contract compared to last year's week. Like, for example, we had 62 closings last week. We had 113 closes, so almost twice as much last year. It's the same thing, right? Year over year, running average of the last 6 months, you're looking at about 53 or 54% less than in transactions last year, closings, right? On average, we're about 14. Yep. And then on average, days on market, we're about 23. Days on market, we were 14 last year, so it's coming back down a little bit, but you know, let's see what else. List price last year is 113. Last week, that's these numbers right here. November 10th to November 16th, 2021, right? So ones in green are last year's numbers. Last year, we saw 113 on average percent over list price on average, right? If you took those numbers, these right here, you're still, a lot of those homes are still going over, but there's a few. Well, actually, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There were 9 out of 113 that went under list price. So look at that one right there, 86%. Meridian Avenue. Oh, yeah, that's why. They probably had it priced. Meridian is obviously a busy street. They probably had it priced for a standard house inside that area, and they didn't take into consideration the fact that it was a busy street. All right. So homes are still flying off. I can't say they're flying, but they're down to normal. These numbers are normal, guys. Right? These are normal numbers for the Bay Area, for San Jose. If you look outside and I keep picking on St. Louis, but you know, something in a flyover state, these numbers are going to be much higher. So there you go. We're down 54, almost 55% over last year in transactions. That's closed. We had 14 cancellations last week. We had 17 TFT'd, or transaction fell through. And we had 169. This is a running number, right? I don't go back just 5 days or 7 days. This is 169 total homes decreased. So you take that number against this number, and we're at 42% of the homes that are listed right now have had a price decrease. And it could be $1, it could be $10,000, it could be $100,000 less. Right? We wrote on a house this week, and it started $200,000 more, and within 10 days they dropped it $200,000. And then we came in and we dropped it. We offered $50,000 less. So people are still buying houses, right? So just be aware that we're still doing business. We're still active. Yep, that's it. So the market's still going. I think it's going slower because obviously rates, but people, is this a good time to buy? You know, I keep saying I think it's a fairly decent time for people to buy. If it's something that you've been planning on doing, sorry, to get to here, right? That's why I had these numbers right here. If you were in the market to buy right now, you think about buying now, right? Because we've talked about these numbers before, because this is where we are right now. There's less competition. We have one buyer for 17 houses. In April, that was the exact opposite, right? So even if you lose a little bit of money today, in the long run, you're going to gain money, right? You have to look at it from a 10-year standpoint. I know there's a lot of investors that are out there saying you're so full of crap, Vito. Investors are short term, right? When they're looking at deals, it's 6 months max. They need to buy and hold, and they need a golden deal, or they're going to buy and hold or buy and flip. So that means they need a golden deal and they need to get it up on the market as quickly as possible because they have holding costs, which, by the way, the HGTV shows never show you that kind of stuff. They don't talk about acquisition costs, holding costs. They talk about repair costs, but they don't really talk about selling costs. And I don't know, I haven't really watched any in a couple of years because I thought it was crap. So reasons why you shouldn't: you have high debt, you don't have a down payment, although we can help you with that if you have a little bit of a down payment. You don't want to maintain a house, totally understandable, but you're always going to be paying at the whim of your landlord. I know one of my daughter's friends just didn't get evicted. Their tenancy got terminated, and they're moving to another place because they're at the whim of their landlord. That's a big one, right? If you've been hearing rumors and you're fearing that you might lose a job, by all means, I'm not going to force you into anything. I never would, but think about it, right? If you're not in a position right now, what are some things you can do? You could talk to us. We have a program. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Called Financial Intelligence. And it goes through how to learn to live underneath your means, work with a team of people, not just a bunch of salespeople. We give out advice. We go on a seminar and we talk about all these different things. First and foremost, your budget, living up below your means, saving for the future, making a little bit of investment here and there, creating those goals, attaining those goals, and living out a life where you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. And that's what this whole program is about. If you're interested in learning more, you should please give me a call. Put you in the program. We're doing this with veterans all over the place. By the way, I don't know if you saw my post, but happy Veterans Day, belated. Had a good time marching in the parade last week, and it was really fun catching up and talking to new people. It's always great to talk to new people, right? Let's see. Yeah, that's it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me, text me, call me, email me. All my contact information is down below. And if you're seeing this on Facebook, shoot me a DM, say, hey, you're right on target, or you're full of crap. Either way, appreciate it. If you have ideas, you want to give me some ideas, or you want to jump on the show, by all means, we can do that. I'm happy to do that. All right, guys. It's been 33 minutes. Hope you have a great rest of your lunch. I'm Vito Scarnecchia with the Abitano Group, powered by Compass. We'll see you out there.